Do I need to do it? I suppose I need to. I don't want to do it, but I suppose I need to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's a video I don't really want to make. I think you know the reasons why, but we're going to sit down and try and talk about it anyway. It's Celtic 1, Lazio 2, the final score from Celtic Park this evening. Celtic sit bottom of the group with 0 points. Lazio move ahead of us. Well, I say move ahead of us, they were already ahead of us, but they move further ahead of us tonight after a very unlucky game for Celtic. And I come on here and I don't really want to use the word unlucky because it just feels so typical of Celtic to lose the game in the fashion that we did tonight. But talking about the fashion that we lost it, it does make it feel unlucky. It makes it feel very unfortunate that we lose the game to a 95th minute goal. And if it sums up Celtic in the Champions League, then it's probably right, because you know, we fought so hard tonight, we dug really deep, but at the end of the day, we leave with 0 points, we leave with a 95th minute loss, and it just feels like it's expected at this point, and that makes things even tougher to take. I don't really know where to start with tonight's match reaction. Celtic lost the game fair and square. It's just so hard sitting here at this moment in time to try and process that loss. We lost the game, where I feel like Celtic had opportunities to win the game. We walk away still bottom of the group with 0 points. And then when you take the final of the game into account, you take tonight into account, it makes you feel like Celtic should have more. And we don't. And why? Because we still lack what it takes to be a Champions League side. You can make every excuse under the sun for tonight, and I still don't feel like it's enough. I think that tonight has to act as an eye-opener towards the Celtic board, towards the management, to realise we are nowhere near it. You know, despite being so close tonight, we still need players, we still need additions to that side that are going to take us to the next level. Because in so many chances and so many opportunities to be ahead tonight, and I don't mean that in terms of saying like we had clear-cut chances to win the game. I just mean that if we had the players to make a difference tonight, we might have taken away something tonight that was more positive to talk about. But we didn't. And why? Because I just feel like we're lacking. That was the biggest takeaway from tonight for me. The fact that there was opportunities for Celtic to walk away with a win. Lazio weren't that good, just like Feyenoord weren't that good. But we just don't have that added quality we need to the Celtic side to make sure we walk away with that. Celtic are a side who have been behind in Europe for years now. We know that. We've not won a home game in the Champions League since 2013. If we want to change that, the board need to show ambition to change that. I don't want to come on here and sound like the Brendan Rodgers bum boy that I always am. You all know that I am the biggest Brendan Rodgers fan about. I'll always give him credit, even when it's not deserved. Tonight, put that aside for a minute, because I just feel like if we had the added tools tonight, we could have probably done something, but we just don't have it. Losing players like Jota, I think that it shows up on a night like this. The quality in the final third that we might need, it's missing. That's the truth. We're not there in the final third the way that we should be, because I think if you had quality players in that final third tonight, we might have been able to, I'm not going to use the word bury Lazio, but I think that we could have maybe put the game beyond doubt earlier on, but we just don't have it. We controlled the game in the second half. I thought that we were the much better side. The possession will go to show that, the chances will go to show that in the second half anyway, but the evidence isn't there. And when you're playing players like Yang, who have never played a game anywhere near the magnitude of a Champions League game, I don't know how you're expected to do it. The Celtic board need to realise this. They have to realise that Brendan Rodgers has been brought in for a reason, to try and take us to that next step in the Champions League. But it ain't going to quite happen with the players we've got right now. And as much as I hate saying that, it's just the honest truth. So I hope the evidence is brought forward from Feyenoord. I hope the evidence is brought forward from a game at home tonight. And I hope that can be rectified, maybe going into next year. But saying that, I'm fed up of that pattern. I'm fed up of the maybe next year. Maybe next year. Oh, maybe we'll be there in a few years. No, I'm fed up with that. I just want Celtic to be able to compete in the present. I'm just tired of the same old story. So, let's go back to the start then, shall we? Let's try and do these match reactions the way we normally would. If you can't tell already, I'm quite tired. It's been a long day. I've been out since about 3 o'clock this afternoon in preparation for this game. A few drinks. But let's try and go back to the start. Starting 11 didn't present too many shocks, even for me, who I thought would have seen a front three of Maida, Kyogo and Palma. Yang wasn't really a shock, but I think come the end of the game, evidence would suggest that Palma was maybe the better option for Brendan Rodgers. I think from what I've gathered out of outside opinion from friends and out with, I think that Yang's had a very split performance tonight. For me, he wasn't quite there. I think that the rawness and the kind of evidence would suggest that he maybe wasn't quite Champions League ready, and that's been one of the problems with Celtic signings over the summer, and many suggested that early on, that we weren't signing players who were ready for this sort of stage. I think that Yang maybe struggled to adapt to early stages in the game, for me anyway. There was positives in his game, but I think that Palma maybe should have started. Aside from that, starting 11 looked okay. The first half we looked okay. For the opening 10-15 minutes of the game, we were much better than Lazio. And we got our goal for that. We got the evidence presented right to us that we were better than Lazio, because Kyogo scored a good goal. The team built towards a good goal, and I think for that opening 10-15 minutes we were right on top of them, and we brought forward a game that really Lazio struggled to adapt with. Lazio didn't really have what it took to match Celtic in those opening 10-15 minutes, and we were really good. The goal we scored was brilliant. It's one of the best home goals I can remember in recent times in the Champions League. Kyogo finally gets his Champions League goal. That was a major positive from his strike. The fact that he finally has that goal to break the Champions League duck. He didn't score last year in the group stages. He hasn't scored yet in this year's group stages until tonight. And it was a really well worked goal. And in those opening 10-15 minutes, I think that Celtic suggested enough that we could challenge Lazio, that we could take them to the limits. But then after that, we didn't quite match the same intensity. But that's to be expected. You know, you take the lead in that game, Lazio then have to try and fetch an equaliser. They have to try and match what you've been doing. And at that point, we kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit. And I don't think we dealt with things that badly. I think there was a lot of players in that first half defensively, who had a good enough game. But maybe we showed Lazio a little bit too much respect. And then they get their equaliser. About 30 minutes into the game, they finally strike level. And it's a really unlucky goal to concede, in the sense that, you know, I thought from my seat anyway that Joe Hart did enough to keep it from going over the line. He didn't. He conceded a goal. And that really brought things back down to earth for Celtic. After an opening 10 or 15 minutes where I thought we looked quite dominant and I thought we looked comfortable, the following 10 or 15 minutes were followed by Lazio really pressing the game and really looking for their chances. They had a few opportunities building up to that. And I hate saying it, but if we didn't concede that second goal tonight, that first goal tonight, I think that eventually Lazio probably would have found that, because they were seeking opportunity, they were going forward, and then we dealt with it the way we did. And that really sums up how we've dealt with defending goals in this Champions League group stage and previous Champions League group stages. We did try hard. Joe Hart nearly claws it off the line. It's just not enough. And that finds Lazio a path back into the game. The recovery following that I thought was good enough, but wow, we have to talk about the build up to the second goal. So let's try and talk about the second half, shall we? It just hurts still, knowing that disallowed goal is there. I don't even want to talk about it because the manner in how we lose the game is so frustrating, considering the second half we were a dominant side. And I think a lot of evidence is there to suggest that what Brendan Rodgers wants to do could be successful. But do we have the players to make that successful? That's a different story, and that seems to be what's up for debate on social media right now. Second half, going in one each, Celtic had to try and find a winner at home. We were the better team on the ball. We had more of the ball. We just didn't seem to make it happen. The second half's very uneventful. It is. Because I don't think that Celtic created enough chances, enough clear-cut chances to suggest they should have won the game. But Lazio didn't do anything, really. Celtic were the better team. Celtic had more of the ball. We just didn't do enough of it. And Lazio didn't do anything, really. They went forward a couple of times, nothing enough to make me go, I'll put my head in my hands. You get very late on in the game. You know, you take it late on, and then Celtic finally put it in the back of the net. And then it's offside. And that is so tough to take. I think it's Dyson Maeda who's the player that's offside for that goal. And it makes it so annoying because at that moment in the ground especially, you think that's it, you think that's game wrapped up, you think the Celtic have took all 3 points. You go from that to a very different ending, and it makes it even harder to take. But Celtic worked hard towards that, and I think on another day maybe a lot goes your way and maybe you find yourself the winners of the game. But tonight, that's sadly not the case. And it's frustrating. It's annoying. And did we recover well from it? No. Because when we should have kept pressing and when we should have kept looking for the winner, we lapse our concentration for a minute. And Lazio go ahead on the 95th minute to score a goal, to win the game, and take not just what you thought was going to be all 3 points, but a point from Celtic. And it just feels so typical at this stage. It's the sorest sort of way to lose a game. No denying it. We all know how last minute winners feel on the Celtic end. We've seen it on Saturday against Motherwell. And maybe this is our luck coming back to bite us from those 2 times we played Lazio in 2019. But it doesn't make it any easier to take. It makes it even sorer to take. And it leaves us a mountain to climb in this group stage. I think that considering the rest of the results tonight, 1 point wouldn't have been ideal. No deny it. We had to win tonight and we lost. But 1 point would at least have left us in a position where we could have been only a point behind Lazio, only a few points behind Atletico and a few points behind Feyenoord. Now we find ourselves the only team without a point in this group. We need to win away from home in Madrid. We need to win away from home in Lazio. And I think there's enough there in the park to suggest tonight we could go to Rome again and get a result. But do we have the players to do it? That's my concern. Because aside from Kyogo, Abada's out. We've got new guys elsewhere. Do we have the quality we need, what it takes to go and win a game away from home in Europe? I don't think so. I think that Brendan Rodgers has been left for dead, in fact, when it comes to his attacking options. Defensively, I really feel bad for giving anybody at stinking tonight, because I thought Taylor, Phillips, Scales again, with a great performance in the biggest of stages. Johnston, I thought that all those guys had a cracking game. Vickers, coming back from injury early, trying his absolute best. You know, I think defensively, we can show that, we showed tonight that we can stick it out. But going forward, have we got the guys up the other end of the park to get the job done? I don't know. And I hate saying that, but when it comes... And domestically, absolutely. On a European level, I don't know. I'm still a wee bit worried. I feel like we're still a wee bit short. And I hope that Brendan Rodgers is getting onto the board about that, because I thought that tactically we got it really spot on tonight. for large portions of the game, Celtic were in the upper hand. And that comes down to the tactics that we deployed. But, I don't know. It just feels like we're getting shortchanged year after year. No matter if it's Brendan Rodgers, Ange Postecoglou, Neil Lennon. We've been waiting 10 years for that Parkhead win. And something's just no there. Right, it'll do it for tonight, I suppose. The toughest of losses to take. When it's at that moment of the game. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I didn't even want to come on and do the video, to be honest, but here we are. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.